What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations 2018 Innovation Award winner, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner given out by the Canadian Epic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads, fathers, and male caregivers that's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And being part of that movement, we've reached out directly and indirectly to over 400,000 dads, fathers, and male caregivers around the world. As always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. We're broadcasting live on October 25th, 2025. Yes, October is almost done. And in where I am in Toronto, definitely fall is here. Fall is here. We've had like gray, rainy, cool days, and I'm not a big fan of gray, rainy, cool days. Like, it reminds me of having a cold shower, and I don't like cold showers. And believe it or not, I'd rather have snow than like cold rain. Ugh. Cold rain just reminds me of a cold shower. Just not feeling it. But looking forward to another epic conversation. If you don't know where you're at Primetime Saturday with Aisha and LaLa, and looking forward to having Aisha back. She was away last week, and can't wait to hear about her last Saturday exploits. If she behaved herself. I don't know if she did or not, but let's bring them up. Here they are. They are here. And before you say anything, ladies, I want to do something proper. So let me do something proper. There we go. Now you can say your piece.
I love it. I'm glad to have my partner back. Hi.
What's going on? Aisha K, where were you last week?
What
Saturday.
was last week?
Right? You don't know what day it is anymore.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you what you
sure
told
don't.
us.
What was last Saturday?
You were telling us you're going to MSNBC.
That was the 11th.
Okay.
Last week you traveled for family.
Huh?
Last week you traveled for family.
Yes, last week was family.
Okay. Okay. So
last week was family. Family still familying. My uncle's still in the hospital, so that we're still dealing with that. But MSNBC's cool. They're going to air the thing on this coming Friday.
Wow.
At 9 p.m.
So you're going to be on TV?
No, I will not be on TV.
No, I will not be on TV.
Because some people fell asleep and missed trains.
Okay, we won't go there.
No.
I do not regret it.
Right. Sometimes them naps be hitting, boy. Woo, I need one right about now.
But let me, in my defense, my daughter has been working very, very hard at her job at the hospital and still does not drive yet. And, us trying to move closer, having to be to work at 6 a.m. in the morning and not driving, and us 45 minutes away, that means that somebody else gets up at 4:30 in the morning to drive her to get her to work. So
4:30 in the morning. My goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
but the weather, Dr. Vibe.
What?
You're right. The weather changed on us.
Oh yeah.
It was 39 degrees this morning when I walked out at like 5 o'clock a.m.
Yeah,
Whoa.
It was that. It's gone to that here too. Like the furnaces are on. Furnaces are on. Like
it's heat.
Like we're getting down to like 33 degrees tonight.
Mm-hmm. Oh wow.
Yeah. They're forecasting the first few months of winter to be cold and snowy, but the second half to be rainy and warmer. But and it's really funny because Toronto's really crazy right now because we've got the Blue Jays playing in the World Series against the Los Angeles Dodgers. And then last night they had the baseball game, and then they also had a basketball game. So the basketball game was NBA game was at 6:30 at one location and down the street. You had the World Series, and then today you have a Maple Leaf hockey game, NHL hockey game. I think it's 5:30ish, and then you got the second game of the World Series 8 o'clock. So it's quite a busier than normal downtown.
Gosh.
A lot going on.
I wouldn't be leaving my house at all. I would be like home.
Well, people who know me, I am not a downtown person. Like, I go downtown maximum 2 to 3 times a year. Thank you very much. So that's
Toronto's a big city.
It is, but it's a congested big city.
Yeah.
It's
like going to New York. Like, who goes to Manhattan and like, oh, I'm gonna go to Manhattan. Just like if you don't live there, like people in New York City jump there. Oh, I'm going to Manhattan. No, they don't. They don't do that. They're like, I'm staying in my neighborhood.
We have a frost advisory tonight.
No.
That tells you that winter is here. Not winter is coming. Winter is here.
Ooh,
so Aisha, since we last saw you, give us a win that you've had.
Huh?
Since we last saw you, give us a win that you had.
Oh, I have a 4.0 GPA because 2 of my classes finished and I got A's in both.
Congratulations.
Yeah. 98 points in one and 99 points in the other out of 100.
No surprise.
Which also explains why we missed the train too, because I was up trying to get those final things in.
Oh my goodness. Wow. And now, how long is this program?
A year. 8 year to 18 months.
Okay. Wow.
Yep. So 2 of my classes were rigorous 7.5-week classes. So yeah, those 2 finished, and then I have one class that is a full year class, and that is my independent study class. And then the other class that just started last week is a 7.5-week class. So yeah.
LaLa, give us a win.
Well, my win this week is I uploaded my second product to my Etsy store. So my goal is to upload something new each week. And this week I uploaded a holiday grief workbook for those who are suffering through the holidays, because the holidays doesn't always mean happiness for a lot of people, especially if they've lost someone.
Got you. That's great. Fantastic. How long did it take you to, produce that product? I don't know, looking for words. So I just said, okay, first thing, how long did it take?
For that one, about a week, because I was working through my own as well, my own grief. And this will be the 3rd holiday that we will be having without justice for my sisters. And it's pretty raw for me. So this one took a while because I really put a lot of thought into the exercises, as well as, letting people know that you don't have to work on other people's time frame. Because one of the first things that you hear out of people is, you're still grieving over that. You should be moving on. Your sisters would want you to do this. You're blah, blah. That's not what you tell someone.
No. Lack of empathy.
Yeah. So a big part of my workbook talks about that as well, so that people understand that, that's not the case. You grieve however long you need to grieve.
Yeah. It's funny that you said that. I had been trying to figure out how to process some of all this nonsense and craziness that we're going through. And also I was thinking, I was like, you know what? I never thought that we'd be here, or that like this age and stuff, like without a friend of mine who passed away when we were 35. Well, I was 34. She just turned 35. And I'm driving on the highway from taking my daughter. And I was like, when early on when she first passed, I could feel her spirit, and I haven't felt it in a long time. And as I was driving, all of a sudden I could just feel her spirit. So what I miss? Because that's what she used to always like come and be like, so what I miss, right? Like just come pop up. And I felt that and I was like, oh my gosh. It's just the fact that you came here now. I can feel that spirit. It's like, let me tell you all the stuff that you missed since 2009. And I actually went back and started putting together all of the things that I would have told her, that what I would tell her, how she would miss. And I actually started putting it in a collection of memories on how I would tell that friend what
Wow.
she missed all this time. I'm actually going to produce that. But the way that I started it was Michael Jackson died. That's how I started it. It's like, because I sat, and it was kind of, I wish I had your workbook, because I kind of sat there.
Yeah.
Where would I start? Because it started, and that's what I call it. So what I miss, my person, where would I start? So Michael Jackson died. And then I go into explaining why I started there, because I'm not sure she remembers that, because the brain cancer had gotten so bad and she died a month after he did.
Oh,
So
wow.
I'm not sure that she remembered that. So it's like, that's where I probably would start, because that's like the end of our childhood.
Yeah.
But that's also the end of her journey through adulthood at 35. And then life starts lifing.
Yeah. Life stars lifing.
She missed Trump 1.
Yeah.
She also missed
Here
Barack
we
Obama.
are.
But listen, she also missed the majority of Barack Obama.
Mm-hmm.
So I forgot there are so many things, right?
Do
So
I have permission to interrupt?
yeah.
Yeah, I want to stay on this for a few minutes because it's so really important, more important than the rest of the show, to be
Oh,
honest.
God, yeah.
So a few things for me. First things first, LaLa, it's interesting. I'm gonna throw it out to you. I'm gonna throw it. I would love you to come on the Morning Vibe in the near future, especially during the holiday season, and talk about the grief and also to promote your product, because I myself lost a family member many years ago. Many years ago. And I can't, I don't want to let go of it, because
Right.
it's so important that, and again, not everyone has good times during the holiday season. I lost this person during the Christmas season. And
Yes.
for many years, Christmas was a very depressing time for me. And you have people, holiday season, and I wasn't feeling it.
Right.
And the thing is, it was at a younger age. I didn't tell people why I wasn't joyous. I kept it inside of me.
Mm-hmm.
And now with people, now I'm beginning to share it, but for a significant, a number of years, that holiday season, and there's still challenges during that season. And then the flip side to that is there was a gentleman I met many years ago named Robert Leung, who has assisted hundreds and hundreds of men. And when I first met him, he introduced me to something, I may have mentioned it before, called a living eulogy.
Oh, really?
And I said, Robert, what do you mean by that? Doesn't make sense, living and eulogy. And he said, Dr. Vibe, don't you notice that a lot of times people save the best they have to say for someone during a eulogy? Why aren't they saying it when they're alive?
Exactly.
But see, that doesn't necessarily make you feel better. And the reason I say that is because I did that with the friend I'm writing about before she passed away. I wrote down everything I would have said, everything I wanted to say. And I was actually going to go and tell her and read it to her. And I couldn't, because my job at the time would not let me to go to the hospice to see her. And so a mutual friend of ours actually went and read it to her. And I know she heard it, and I actually was on the phone listening to her as she heard it. It didn't make me feel better. Even though I said it still didn't make me feel better. And I think that it wasn't so much that it wasn't that she knew. It was that it was just, you get it out, but you're still sat with what feels like the injustice of this person leaving. So even though you said it,
and I'm gonna ask to interrupt again. I agree with that, but also maybe it meant something to her.
but see, I wouldn't. And you know what though? Here's the thing. And this was the challenge I was left with. She waited for me to come see her, and I didn't get there before she died. And see, and that the guilt that I was left with, and when I say I hated that job so much afterwards, because I just wanted to leave early that Friday to go see her because everybody else had said their goodbyes. She was holding on just to say goodbye to me, and I could not go. It's like tomorrow Saturday. I'm coming tomorrow. I was doing. I was braiding Amaya's hair when the phone rang, and I'm like, I don't even want to answer it because I already know what the phone call is. Right. And I was on my way.
Now this is wonderful.
It was terrible. Yeah.
So LaLa,
healing.
I'm going to throw it out there. Sometime in the near future, want to have you come on the Morning Vibe and talk about this. I think it's very, very, very important. I know Thanksgiving is coming up in the U.S., so maybe post Thanksgiving, maybe into the whatever people celebrate during that in the December, whether it's Kwanzaa, Christmas, etc. I believe that I'm just throwing it out there. If you're up to it, I'd love you to come on and share about that.
I believe it's needed, so I'd be happy to.
Yeah. And what you said about the holiday, Dr. Vibe, really rings true. You know, that's why it's one of the reasons why I had to start liking my birthday again. I did not. She died like 2 weeks before my birthday, for my 35th birthday. So I really struggled with birthdays after 35.
Well, it's interesting you say that. I think I'd shared in the last few months. I had a close friend on a transition, and there was a group of us. And one of the sad things is that one of our group, he passed away on his birthday, and it devastated him. Devastated.
Have you noticed, and I've noticed this too, because even after, with D'Angelo dying, a lot of people of our generation are dying of illnesses.
Yes. Also Alzheimer's. Yes. My husband and I had a conversation today that a good friend of ours who is only 51 years old has been diagnosed with another rare form of Alzheimer's. We are hearing this every day. We're hearing it more and more. And even Bruce Willis's family is now asking for additional prayers because his Alzheimer's and dementia is getting worse.
Well, Kim Kardashian is talking about she has a brain aneurysm.
Okay.
Which I'm kind of like. She announces it to promote a new show, but but she was also going to be
watching this live or watching a replay or listening to this. Take care of your health, and especially have things in order.
It's hard to do this
unlike the James Bond movie Diamonds Are Forever, we are not forever on this earth.
But it's hard to do in this country. I mean, honestly, not just with people who are working and not getting paid, but if you're working and you're not getting paid and you have a copay, how do you do that? How do you go to your doctor? Because nowadays these doctors want your copay up front. They won't bill you. They won't even see you until you pay the copay. And there's that struggle. Or doctors like I called my doctor. I said, hey, I can't get into this doctor, and I'm having this kind of sinus infection thing. Can you write me a prescription for an antibiotic? Oh, yeah, you need to go see this doctor. I'm like, yeah, but they're like, they can't see me for 3 weeks. I'm not going to sit with this infection for 3 weeks and let it get worse. Well, then you need to make an appointment to come see. But God, come on now. And so everybody wants to pass off on our healthcare here. It's like, oh, it's not my responsibility, not my responsibility, not my responsibility, dead.
Okay. We're gonna take a break on that because we got people wanting for you ladies to talk about some of the nonsense, to make sense of some of the nonsense that's going on in America, politics and culture. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break and we'll be back. We'll do some housekeeping, then we'll get right into stories for on the Primetime Saturday. And ladies, I love this conversation. We got to continue. It was really, really good to open up this way. So let's be back in 15 seconds.
Check out The Morning Vibe on Mondays and Fridays at 9 a.m. Eastern on the Dr. Vibe Show YouTube channel with Dr. Vibe and Ryan Knight, where they discuss important subjects between themselves or have conversations with people who you need to know about.
All right, we are back on Primetime Saturday with, more importantly, Aisha and LaLa and Dr. I'm going to change that. I'm not going to put my name first. I'm going to put it last. Put it last. So let's look at it. Girlfriends Chat with Aisha, LaLa, and Jill Jones. That's the old link Patreon, but check it out on the Substack.
We're trying to get our time together so we can record.
Yeah, we're missing some of those.
It's been a minute. It's
been a minute.
I actually talked to Jill earlier this week.
So here's the show store. By the way, LaLa, is your creation in the show store, Primetime Show Store?
No, I put it in for you guys to have, but the people can get it off of my website, laurakey.net.
Okay. Join the Discord group. Please email me at dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com, or click on that link or copy that link. Subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show and hit the YouTube button. You did the notification, but not the YouTube button. Hit the notification button. We're getting close to 2,000 subscribers, but I don't know what to do when we hit the 2,000 subscribers. Give me ideas. Follow me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, and Substack. To advertise your business, product, or service on our show, please feel free to email me at dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. And then Indie Soup Media, our good friend Dr. Tachi, who was fantastic over the last 2 Saturdays. LaLa loves it when Dr. Tachi's in the house. And her animated face goes to a whole nother level when Dr. Tachi is, see right there, when Dr. Tachi is on. Because Dr. Tachi has a whole different vernacular, and when she makes up words, that's like prime time. And she makes up words. So that's her driving force. And I know J.R. Houston Jack, I think she's still here. She's one of the independent content creators that is part of Indie Soup Media. There's a link there. Over 28,000 subscribers in about 20 months of operation, and realize that only 4% of all YouTube channels have over 10,000 subscribers. If you'd like to call in, we'd haven't had a live call-in person for a while. I think the last person that called in was Mr. Ryan Knight. Well, no, I think Dr. Tachi may have been. I think it may have been Dr. Tachi. Yeah. Right, it was Dr. Tachi. But folks, if you want to call in, this is what you do. You go to that address, callme.road.com, and use the code FSPL8L. And what I'm going to do is, I'm going to walk you through it. And then when you go through there, all you need to do is put in your name. I'm going to put in Dr. Vibe here. And make sure you have the echo cancellation turned on and automatic mic gain turned on, and just put join call. I'll watch and I can patch you into the conversation. So after all that stuff, family, we also got some people are in the house, so we got to acknowledge them. So first things first, as Enlightened Beings was in the room before the show even started. Like she was in 2 minutes early. This has been a week. This is going to be an amazing show. Well, every show is an amazing show. But hey, what I was saying, she also says working and listening and still not getting paid during the shutdown. Jen Meyer says, hello, everyone. Good to see you. Hey, Jen. GR Houston Jack, who's a contributor to the Indie Soup Media platform. She's in. Good afternoon, all. Aisha says, Enlightened Beings, I'm sorry that you are affected this way. J.R. Houston Jack, sometimes chaos in life will force a person to rethink one's priorities. Time with family and friends is far more important to me. And also she says, and we should celebrate our loved ones and friends before they transition. those loving words matter more when they can hear them. Lovely, lovely. A lot of good stuff going on today. All right, let's get to our first conversation piece. It happened last Saturday. No Kings protests when they were happening when we were live last Saturday, but now what's next?
Well, that's the question, and that was my whole argument. I know LaLa saw my post on Blue Sky, and my whole thing has been, what's next? I am not against. I think what they did was amazing. I think getting more, 8 million people to protest all over the place was amazing. They had them here, great. The thing for me, and it is the processing of it all and realizing the difference. I get trying to organize in this spirit of the civil rights movement. The thing is, I'm not saying that you're doing it wrong. The thing of it, though, is there was a difference in how people moved. And when I say difference, I mean the protest wasn't the thing in the civil rights movement. The protest was the thing to get people pumped up to go do the thing, which was that Sunday, speaking in their churches about organizing and going to go down and register to vote, going down to do X, Y, and Z. This organization was the thing. The protest was the thing. Do you see what I mean? It wasn't what's next. It wasn't to get people ready for what's next. It was the thing, rather than using the march to get people ready to do what's next. So, for example, the march, Selma to Montgomery march, they organized, that was to get people ready to go register to vote and get turned away so that when they go to court, they could say, oh, these people kept registering and they kept turning them down. So we need the Voting Rights Act. There's no plan for legislation. And the thing that I got was that there was the we'll let you know what's coming next. We'll let you know in the next couple of weeks what's coming next. In that time, even though people's spirit is high, you then tend to get some drop off. If people don't know what to do next. So, for example, I people forget that the Montgomery bus boycott, because of the retelling and whitewashing of American history, wasn't that Rosa Parks was sewing clothes, got tired, and just said, I'm just not getting up out this seat today. My feet just hurt too much. That's the way white people have told this story. There was years, almost a decade of organizing. There were test cases. Was it Claudette Colvin in South Carolina had done this before. She couldn't be they didn't want her to be the face of it because
they did not.
Because she became a teen mom. Okay, so the person had to be respectable. Rosa Parks had been working in this stuff a long time. Was she tired? Yes. Was she physically tired from working? No. She was tired because of what happened to Emmett Till and was like, I'm just not doing this today. The impetus why they had to, the boycott was already planned, but why it had to go into high gear and move faster than what they had planned was because Rosa Parks got arrested. Had she not got arrested, they would have operated on a different timeline, but she got arrested. And so that propelled this movement. But even if you look at that 10-year period in Montgomery, you have the bus boycott and then the Montgomery to Selma protest, which resulted in the Voting Rights Act. So there's 10 years here worth of constant work toward an end, right? That Selma to Montgomery march wasn't just the thing. The Montgomery bus boycott wasn't just the thing. There was the work between those two things in the 10 years. And that for me was the question that I've been trying to raise. So what's next? What's next? People should have been given things at the things. This is what you go do. Here's a list of things for you to go do. Here's a list of organizations for you to go join. Here's this, here's that. You have this captive audience, and it's cool. And it's cool that you're saying, guess what? We don't and I'm not criticizing the movement. It's good and well. But here's what you have to go and do afterwards. Like, for example, Black Lives Matter, and I think people also need to take some other things into perspective with this too. You could not have the number of Black people show up to those rallies as you did Black Lives Matters protests, because this man was waiting to go into these cities with the militia and his military and his National Guard. That's the first thing. But the second thing too is that you could not have an abundance of people of color having a protest or hosting a protest like this, dressing up in costumes and have people take them seriously. I mean, there's one of the reasons that and I have nothing against the people in suits and things, but I'm like, one of the reasons these people sat there and got on TV and called you a joke was because of that stuff. The moment that they said this was anti-American, the thing that you should have been, that people could have been doing, make sure you have your American flags. The moment that they said these people are anti-American, need to show up in suits and stuff. One of the reasons that they had in the civil rights movement, people going out to protest in their Sunday best, was because of how it would look to turn hoses and dogs and be violent toward people who were wearing business suits and Sunday suits. And so I get that there's a big tent and there's this urge to do that. But here's the thing. You cannot say we want to have this kind of movement like this, like the civil rights movement, and have this version of it without studying it and then only studying a whitewashed version of it.
But I think I've got a couple of comments that I would like to interject with. One is, us as a community, especially the 92%, we already were telling you, we saw what was going to happen. We knew what was going to happen, and we're tired. And, this is everybody else catching up to what we have been telling them from the very beginning. And a lot of people are upset that there weren't more of us marching. But we told you we weren't going to do that from the very beginning. Now, if you want the work to be completed, you need to pick up the ball and keep moving forward. And that's just how I feel about it. I will support them. I will do that. But the minute that they see more of us out there, the more they're going to be doing these policing things, this ICE thing, everything they're going to be throwing at you. They have a plan to make sure that military is in every major city by 2026. You understand that? We're telling you that now. And who do they go after first? They have people of color. So therefore, I think we're doing the right thing for the majority of us, not being out there, but doing other things to support the movement of protests, which is very important. And I still say we all need to probably be moving in silence and then have better organization. Listen, it's been done before. It can be done again. Now, my second point is this. I feel, like I said last week, and I still feel this way after thinking about it over a week, I think it is extremely important for us to recognize and celebrate the fact that we had so many show up to these protests. And I mean, from little bitty towns who had 400 people who don't normally have 400 people marching in the streets, to the bigger cities where they turned out in droves. The important things, there was even one lady in Alaska, where she lives, where there's really nobody out there but pretty much her, out there with her sign, her No King sign in protest. That is important for us to see, because a lot of the time, and especially now, the news will not report the truth. Right. And what did the Trump administration do? They tried to make it seem like no one showed up. It was a flop, when very clearly we saw the numbers. That's important. Because see, when we feel like, what are we doing this for? Nobody showed up, then that discourages people and it makes them stay home. But there's something empowering to see people from all walks of life, small town, big town, everywhere, with the signs and being ready. This is just the next step. I do think I do think, Aisha, I really feel like, the next step will come. It's been a long time. So people have forgotten and they've gotten lulled into being comfortable and being an American. And now they have to be shaken from their trees and awakened again to go, got to get back in step and move forward. I don't know what comes next. I just know that it's going to come powerful. I really feel like it will.
So here's my concern. These same people forgot just 4 years ago that we were here. And in 3 weeks, they'll forget that they were there. This was my concern about this. And this is why I kept saying, what's next? Because you know what I know is next? Thanksgiving. And a lot of those people have MAGA relatives and are going to go sit with their Mima and Aunt Peg, their MAGA Mima and their Aunt Peg, eating turkey and that perturbed pumpkin pie that their Aunt Peg made, and let her talk all her MAGA shit, not say or do anything. And so unless those people know what's next before that, there's going to be so much drop off.
And I think people understand, they need to understand there's consequences to their actions too, regardless of whoever you are or what side you're on. Your consequences are on both sides. If you are non-MAGA, there's consequences in life and within your family as well, vice versa. You've got two things going on at one time, and two things can be true. The question is, which side or right are you going to be on?
Right. And let's be clear. If this, and that's the other reason why I'm like, what's next? Because just even if a lot of people didn't show up, you should have planned just in case. What if they did? And the reason I say that is because you saw how unnerved that man was. So let me tell you, everything that happened this week is because of those optics. Yes. He was so mad. He tore down a building. He was so mad. He started the week with an AI video flying over Americans and ended the week by also tearing down democracy physically by taking down a building. He is so bothered that the what's next. Oh boy, that's why I'm asking, because that right there, that right there is okay. So you got this man right in this place where he is here, he's ready, he's angry, he's gonna make so many mistakes. Keep firing at him. Keep firing at him. And what they're going to do is they're going to step back and we're going to figure out what's going to happen, what's next. And it's going to be quiet. And what happens is when there's that quiet, there's the space for him to fill it with noise and nonsense. And then people start to feel comfortable again, and the media goes and chases his stories again. And then here we are again, having to get people riled up all over again. And I'm tired of movements having to start over from zero with this man. And that's why I kept saying, what's next? What's next? Because I don't want us to have to keep going back and starting from zero. You know why we're here, where there needed to be a No Kings protest? Because it was starting at zero again, because people did not want to listen to people like us and other people sounding the alarm about Project 2025 when we were telling you they're not starting from zero. They're picking up where they left off, and it's worse. Here we are, and people keep starting from zero with this man as if he's not going to do the things that he says he's going to do, or as if he will keep a promise, or as if he can be trusted.
So if I have your permission to drop a few things. So J.R. Houston Jack says, Dr. Vibe Show, I'm well. I'm editing videos and listening in. She says, IMO, these No Kings protests are more for white American citizens to commit to start fighting for what they've always taken for granted. These are baby steps for them. She also says Black folks need to share information and support from the sidelines. In order for this country to understand what's happening, more white folks need to get into the streets.
And that's why and that's the exact point that I'm making. And that's why the Thanksgiving thing bothers me, because these same people that are like, oh yeah, we're this. Protesting is also saying, I am not going to go sit at this table with these people. I don't care how related we are. You voted for a situation that I'm fighting against. You voted for a situation that's harming me and my family. You voted for a situation that's hurting people I care about too.
Exactly.
That's protest too.
Okay.
And you know what? And I've heard all the excuses. Oh, well, but it's my dad. It's my, you know what? I haven't talked to my dad since April because he did something. And sometimes you got to do it. You got to do it. Because guess what? Toxic relatives are toxic relatives.
I
And
can
every
attest
now and
to
then,
that.
look, and every now and then you got to cut them off.
And there's
Go ahead.
nothing wrong with that. Protecting your peace, there's nothing wrong with that.
Okay, in the house, Dr. Tachi is in the house, says hello all.
Hello, Dr. Tachi.
Well, look at this. Regina is in the house. Regina, are you calling in this week? She goes, more white people are getting involved. The Thanksgiving thing is also done better in baby steps. Leah and Ezra suggest we start by boycotting Spotify.
And I get
JR,
that. Just one thing, Dr. Wright. I get that, Regina, the Thanksgiving thing being done in baby steps, but it's been 10 years. It'd be different if Trump just came out last year and started running last year, and this MAGA thing started last year. Baby steps, yeah. But a decade?
All right. JR Houston Jack says, hey, Dr. Tachi. Regina says, Leah and Ezra are the founders of Spotify. And Dr. Tachi says, hey, JR Houston Jack, hey, sis. And Dr. Tachi says, I'm all for boycotting Spotify.
I'm actually.
Oh, we are. We don't have it, and we're pulling all of our music down.
Actually, I'm all in for boycotting every company that has donated to the destruction of the White House.
So let me, if I have your permission to interrupt, that is something that, why am I forgetting his name now? Scott Galloway has said that look at the impact that small little boycott of Warner Brothers had on them when Jimmy Kimmel, he said, ideally it would be great if it could be an organized boycott for 1 month of all the supporters. That's what he is.
Well, you know what? Here's the thing: the No Kings protests. They're talking about, we're talking about boycott. You know what? Here's the other thing that I suggested too. You really want to get in on a boycott? Black people have been boycotting Target all freaking year. How about you join that boycott? How about you join that boycott that's existing? Because guess what? It's made such an impact that the CEO of Target had to take a pay cut, but Target is still standing 10 toes down and keeping their DEI stuff off of it. You join that boycott, white people, and you want to see, and they will make a change. And if they make a change, other businesses will see it too. But no, you're talking about starting some new. There's a boycott in existence that already has a major impact that you can join. Period.
Pick your poison, because there's many of them. But I've always said, listen, you don't have to be a part of absolutely every daggone thing. Pick the one that is most important to you, because there's a lot of them that are out there. Like, you can't just spread yourself so thin. So listen, pick the one that is very important to you, and then put 10 toes in. No, put 50 toes down and stand firm with that.
Yeah. And let me be clear. You guys know why the Confederate flag came down from the State House. Even though to the ground, it came from the top of the dome, it came to the grounds. That was the compromise. But you know, it came from the top of the dome down because the NAACP had waged a 10-year boycott of South Carolina, and the NCAA, after years, joined that boycott. The NCAA. This is right when University of South Carolina was starting to become growing in their divisions. Okay. Growing in their divisions. They saw the longing. Who's one of the top who's one of the top schools for women's basketball? University of South Carolina.
With Dawn Staley.
Dawn Staley. Right.
Staley, sorry.
Stanley, and this is the reason why. And so, but remember, that was a 10-year boycott. And this is why I do not trust some of these things when they're like, oh, let's boycott. The boycott can't be, I'm not going to buy from them until they give me what I want so that I can go buy from them again. You got to be prepared to never buy from them again. You got to be prepared to have those needs filled by someone else.
But then going back to what you said, Aisha, earlier, you know, when we talk about the Montgomery boycott and things of that, people for some reason don't realize that that was over a year boycott. When people tend to forget, like, oh, they just did it for a week.
No, 16 months.
No, this took time. And that means you have to be dedicated for that time. Not just until you get tired, but until we actually see the change.
Mm-hmm. And here's the thing. I'm gonna tell you why. And I hate to say this, it's not characteristic and it's not a stereotype, but I'm telling you one reason why Black people, especially Black women, can hold out on a boycott, because nobody holds a grudge like we do. You can do something wrong. Let me tell you something. My grandmother lost my uncle when he was 3 at Yale New Haven Hospital. My grandmother would never go to that hospital again. That was in 1963. My grandmother died. My grandmother would never go to that hospital again. She always went to St. Ray's. She never went there again. Ever. She hated that hospital. So we can hold a grudge. And I think that's what I think that kind of steel, that's what I said. The protest is to steel people's spine for the next step. And and a lot of people saw the protest as the next step.
All right. Dr. says Regina says hello to Regina. And she also says me too, Aisha. Regina says, they suggest we boycott complicit corporations one by one and not for a week. Sorry, Leah and Ezra are the founders of Indivisible. Yeah. And then they want them canceled one by one. Dr. Chat says the one thing that will make these boycotts work is that we can't go back. It needs to be permanent state of affairs.
Yes,
there is no accountability if we just go back business as usual. Regina says, I've been boycotting Target. They also have boycotted Target and Walmart for years. These boycotts are permanent. And she also says, agree, these boycotts need to be serious, just like Dr. King's boycott.
And see, I gotta think, because now that you said that Leah and Ezra are the founders, you just woke something in me, Regina, that makes me want to go find out why they are so gung-ho about this Spotify boycott and insisting on that, when the path of least resistance is, hey, Black folks have been boycotting Target. Let's support them in this boycott, because that really is the path of least resistance. It's actually the easier lift, right? Because there has already been a significant financial impact, and you really want to make a big impact. Target is actually going to have a bigger dent put in it 3 weeks before Thanksgiving and Black Friday than Spotify. Spotify is not going to give a shit to boycott them before Black Friday.
Baby, Spotify has done everything that they needed to do to dupe your music, so they don't care.
And not only that, because remember, the money from Spotify would only otherwise go to artists anyway. It doesn't necessarily come back into the larger economy. So I have to figure out, why are they targeting Spotify? Because it seems to me the target would be, hey, let's support this one with Target, because guess what? They already made an impact. We can help them make a bigger impact. Honestly, if they did that, Target they could impact Target by $1 trillion by Christmas if they added on to the if they supported that boycott. To me, Regina's just giving us the answer. I will suggest they push Target at the next meeting, Aisha. They are against Spotify for its ICE ads and ripping off musicians. It's all good, boycott. And see, the ICE ads and ripping off musicians. And you know the thing about the musicians, Regina, a lot of the musicians that are making money on Spotify are the antithesis of what Indivisible stands for. You're talking your Ice Cubes, you're talking your Snoop Dogs, you're talking your people who just don't give a damn. Your 50 cents. Oh my God. These are people who just don't care. And when you talk about the people who own stock in Spotify, Dr. Dre doesn't give a shit. These
No,
people
when
don't
you
care.
get that money, that shows yourself.
Mhm.
Mm.
Mhm. Mhm.
All right.
Yep.
Let's get to some other. Before we go further, too, I want to shout out to Quite Kept, who's giving love on.
Oh,
Facebook.
and Regina, also too, when you have the next meeting, please tell them that I was the one who suggested this and that I have been trying to get to them about hiring somebody who knows how to do communications in their messaging. Hello.
Okay.
Sorry.
J.R. Houston Jack. Well, you've been away for a few weeks, so we were expecting this. She goes, I was treated poorly at Dillard's department store in 1996. I haven't been back since.
See, hold that grudge. Hold
Kyle
that
Mitchell says,
grudge.
pay your taxes. Your opinion is moot and your rage is important. Okay.
It's impotent.
And J.R. Jack says, lasting change is a marathon. End of story. Okay.
Correct.
J.R. Houston Jack, you should come on one of these days. We'd love to have you on with us. He goes, also, real talk. I may forgive, but I'm not forgetting or spending my time or money, excuse me, where I am not respected. Dr. Tachi says to Jerry Houston Jack, I don't forgive them, and I definitely don't forget.
Isn't Dillard's closed now?
Okay, Jerry Houston Jack
Isn't
says,
that revenge? Isn't vengeance divine?
so J.R. Houston Jack says to Dr. Tachi, we will not forget. I haven't been to Target in years, and surely not Wally World. And then Regina says, I will suggest that, yeah, so next meeting. Okay. So let me ask, as we start transitioning to another, what is it going to take for Black people to get involved with the No King protests?
I don't think they should. And the reason I say this is it's not about, I think we can support. I think we can support. I think we can share the information, but I do not think that we need to be out on the streets, because the moment that we do, they're looking for an excuse to become violent.
We're target number one.
Because the moment we do, the tanks come out. Think about this. Black Lives Matters protests, regardless of what little information that they share, that the media blew up the very few violent incidents there were. Overwhelmingly, they were peaceful, and they brought out tanks. Remember that Black woman by herself with a backpack and a sundress, and it was police in riot gear and tanks. One Black woman who couldn't have weighed more than 110 pounds. And she was met by 20 police in riot gear and tanks. So I think our place is not at the forefront of the line to the violence. Because here's the thing. And this is one of the reasons why some of the protests played the way that they did in the news media. When white people see other white people brutalized on TV through state violence, it does something to them. So, for example, if January 6th had happened and it had been Black and brown people, there would not have been the kind of shock and awe that there was among white America. White America would have been, oh my gosh, they would have been okay with seeing police out there and all of that, because it would play to their fear of Black crime. But seeing white people out there behaving like animals isn't something that they're usually exposed to. You ever notice how whenever there are those riots after sports events and it's nothing but white people, you only see like a 6-second clip, if ever? Because when they see it's like, oh my God, we don't act like that. But seeing that prolonged on TV for January 6th,
Different ball game.
it was a different ball game for people. And the media shock and awe is like, everybody was just like, what are we watching? This doesn't happen. And the fact that people are like, this doesn't happen. And you have Black people think, no, what are you talking about? We experienced this kind of violence from white people in the 60s. That kind of violence that you saw there, that's what people experienced when they tried to integrate schools. I bet you that's exactly what it looked like outside Central High School when Elizabeth Eckford tried to integrate and tried to walk into that school, and all those white people were out there, and it was just that one little Black girl. So I think that if he is going to turn it into a police state, I think they need to be able to see that image, because it moves them in a different way than it would if it were us, if it was very racially diverse. When they see themselves and they see themselves being brutalized, particularly if they see white women, because it was also largely female too, particularly if they see white women being brutalized like that, that's going to do something. If they see white veterans being treated this, it's going to hit differently. Because right now, how do we know? Because they're still not disturbed enough when they see these ICE agents disappearing people to make it stop.
And baby, that's more and more every day. There's a video out today of a Black woman who's just walking into Walmart. And two ICE people approached her very quickly and swiftly. And the first question out of their mouths was, what country were you born in? This was just a young lady, just a regular young lady going into Walmart. So they are now harassing people right in front of the stores. No questions asked, other than if you're brown-ish to them or not what they expect you to be, you will be taken down.
You know what's next? You know what should be next for the No Kings protesters? You all need to send poll watchers, because he's already sending DOJ people out to these elections, particularly in Virginia and New Jersey and New York City, where these going to be these change elections. He's already talking. He already said he's going to do it. You guys
Ain't no talking, it's being done.
Because they just announced that yesterday, which basically means it's voter intimidation. So,
all right, let's continue on. So Regina says, Aisha, I will definitely pass on your message with passion and conviction. J.R. Houston Jack says, I agree, Black folks should not get involved. They're waiting for us to come outside. She also says, no kings is for white folks to recognize. If they want democracy and all the privilege they've enjoyed, they will have to fight for it. She also says, facts, Aisha. April, good to see you. She says, boycott Black Friday. And then Aisha says, yes, there needs to be poll watchers because, as usual, they will try some funny business and thievery.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're already, look, as it is, they're already trying to do that. See, Dr. Tachi reminded me, they're already trying to do that stuff in Florida right now with DeSantis's wife and all that nonsense that they're trying to do. I mean, it's just, put it this way. I made this post, and I don't think people realized it. I don't think people realize the reason that they did the gerrymandering of Texas is because they had to steal the state.
Yeah.
Because that state is, I have to check the map again, but I believe I'm correct. That state is the first state in the country to be a majority minority state.
Yes.
Texas is 60.5% Black and brown and other.
All right.
White people make 39.8%. That is why they had to gerrymander that entire state. And that's in every state. And see, that's the other place. You need to watch where the No Kings protest. What's next? That's what's next. Your organization in these states that are about to become majority minority states, and it happens to be the whole Bible Belt. Any state that has 30% or more already Black population, they also have a Latino population that's coming very close. Keep that in mind.
Okay. Last two comments from the audience, family, before we move on. Regina says Black folks have been in protests in New York City, but I agree they should hold back. Let the white people lead against the fascists. Also, Dr. Tide says, as I would say, I've never seen a group of people so intent of making aids of their presidents. And then Regina goes, poll watchers, a state election does not need federal oversight. BS, I'm a poll watcher already, but it's a little town. And GR Houston Jack says, you're correct, Aisha. I'm a Texan and we see it.
But you know what, though? The state elections actually do need federal oversight. All of the formerly segregated, all the formerly Confederate states, that's what they're at the Supreme Court. That's what the Supreme Court is hearing now with Part 2 of the Voting Rights Act, is the part about the federal oversight of those state elections, because those states have historically disenfranchised their Black and brown voters.
I don't have any faith at all in the Supreme Court. So,
oh yeah, we know. Well, they're going to gut that, which is scary. But here's the thing: once the states that re-gerrymander, like California, Maryland's about to get in on it. Michigan should probably look at doing it. Once these states do that, they probably need to go into their state constitution and put in their own civil rights oversight into their state constitution for their elections.
All right. That is it. Last comment from the family. Zero faith in Supreme Court. Jerry Houston Jack. All right. Let's move to our next conversation piece. Let me just do this. Let me do one other thing here. Okay. All right. Let's do this.
Our next story is the White House's entire East Wing to be demolished within days.
Well, 45
already.
It's not demolished. It's dead. It's gone.
It's gone.
It's gone.
Thoughts?
Well, I mean, this is what happens when you have someone who's unstable, when you have someone who it's obvious this part wasn't planned. I'm sure, because even the plans that he has are literally something somebody just threw through AI and just printed out on paper. There are no plans, I believe, to construct this thing right away. First of all, I'll tell you why. Because anyone who lives in any place from DC up knows that after October, the ground starts to get cold. And if you live in a place that snows, it freezes. Nobody lays concrete or a foundation starting in November, December months to start building. Nobody builds over the winter time. Okay? So just keep that in mind, first of all. But the demolishing of that building to build a ballroom that's going to be bigger than the White House itself. White House, 50,000 square feet. This ballroom, 90,000 square feet. And the fact that the price tag has now ballooned to $150 million more than he said it would. He said he's got donations from this and this and this and this. I'm sure he's got donations. I do not think that those donations are paying for this. I think he pocketed those donations, and I think that he's going to take money from the taxpayers to do whatever it is that he's going to do. We also know this man has no taste, okay? Because he took a beautiful rose garden. He took a beautiful rose garden and turned it into an Alba pan. Remember that Alba pan? The
Oval Office looks like a pawn shop.
Right. It looks like a cafe outside of a cheap coffee shop. So there's and nobody uses it, right? And the umbrellas are always closed and all that stuff. And so I think the doing of this was a way for him to announce what he's going to do with the money. Announce that he's getting this money. He's going to pocket it. But the destruction of it really was, he wanted to get people to stop talking about no kings. He wanted to get people to stop talking about the shutdown. He wanted to get people to stop talking about the Epstein files. And you know what else happened this week? Virginia Giuffre's book came out Tuesday, which meant the Epstein files would have been front and center more if he hadn't done that. There was Virginia Giuffre's book came out about her being trafficked by Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. And Prince Andrew got his royal titles taken away, right? The same week. And there was something else that happened that related to, and Adelita Grijalva, they sued Michael Johnson.
Yes,
so all of that was Epstein related. Epstein would have been a super hyper focus this week. He had to do something. And he destroyed that building. And people were wondering, did they remove all the historical? Because honestly, this is a man that they didn't take anything out. Everything that that it was destroyed as it was.
The Historical Society, I can't remember what the official White House Historical Society said. They came out and documented and cataloged a lot of things, but that doesn't necessarily mean they got it in their hands. They said documented and cataloged. That doesn't necessarily mean that they physically have it. And let's not forget what he's building under this ballroom.
Well, no, what's already under it is the bunker. No, right, the bunker is already under it.
And he's planning on expanding it.
He's planning on expanding it. There's a bunker already under it. But here's the other part of it too. And just like you said, LaLa, the with them cataloging it, if he had already arranged to do this and they were supposed to get things, they would have known that he was going to. Nobody knew. And the fact that his tone deaf, dumb of a press secretary who's 28, and it shows, well, he's just focused on this right now. Shut down. People, food banks are running out of food. 42 million people won't have food assistance in a few days. There are people who are working jobs that are not getting paid. Okay. I you know what I feel like? I feel like every government worker, if you're not getting paid at this point, I feel like no one should show up to work on Monday. What's he going to do? Fire everybody? Let the whole government come to a halt. Nobody gets on a plane because there's nobody working TSA. Nobody gets anything. All the people who work at HR, congressional offices, they're not getting paid. You know what? All the people that pay Congress, they're not getting paid. If you're not getting paid, Congress isn't getting paid. Shut down the damn offices. Nobody gets anything. Just everything. Because you know what? Here's the thing. You know what got this man's attention the first time during COVID? What got people stimulus and got people assistance, and he had to go to Democrats with his tail between his legs and say, can you help me get out of this? The world, the country came to a grinding halt because of the pandemic. Nobody did anything. everybody was inside. Nobody was doing anything. Nobody was working. I think we need to do that again, because I think people done forgot what it's like when nothing is open, nothing is working, and you can't get things done, period.
All right.
Because people are starting to remember what it was like having him the first time that they're showing up to protest. Let's really remind them what it was like after he destroyed things.
Got permission to drop. I'm going to give some content. I've got a question for LaLa. So
Okay.
Dr. Tachi says they're trying to build a ballroom to rent it out so they can line their pockets.
Of course.
Exactly.
Dr. Tachi is being saying yes, everything that's been done. J.R. Houston Jack says it's top tier money laundering. Dr. Tachi says the stupid thing is it's not working, because now, in addition to being infuriated over those things, people are also infuriated over the destruction of the White House.
Yes.
And she says, okay, before we do that, let me get out first. So, LaLa, you are a real estate professional.
Yes, I am.
Okay. When someone does a demolition to that great extent of a building, they're not looking to stay for a short term, are they?
No,
Most
baby.
people.
But
Okay.
he's already told us that he's not going to leave.
That's what I want you to talk about.
And Steve Bannon is telling us he's not leaving.
Okay, LaLa, this is why I want it, because from your real estate perspective and your experience, when someone does a renovation, a big renovation, they're not usually doing it to just stay and rent.
That man plans to stay there till he dies. Yes, he does. That's the whole plan.
Did I say that?
But but like I said, he's already said that. Now listen, for everybody who was in our Discord group, I did post a list of those who did donate toward the 300 million ballroom, and the list is pretty long, and some of these are good old ones we definitely knew they would, like Microsoft, T-Mobile. You've got all these people that we already know, Lockheed Martin, all of those. These people have lined his pockets before. They'll continue to line these pockets again, because they will get something in return. They'll be loyalists to him. But in all fairness and in all truth, he does not plan to leave. Let me tell you a few things that he said that people have forgotten. He's literally said to people, so if we're in war, if we're in a war, we can not have elections, right? Out loud. Yes,
Right.
sir. We can do that. What is he doing now? Establishing war.
Which technically we can't, because we're not like other countries, which because honestly we can't. He just thinks that we can. Because
that is one thing. Two, he told us he's already printed the hats out for 2028.
Oh, did you see the AI meme of him 2028, 2032? How long does this man think he's gonna live?
Well, he plans to live forever. And he's already putting people like
2026. I don't understand with his health issues. Why is he planning beyond?
Don't forget, Aisha, we always talk about the lineage of how powerful the people and the plan was behind him. They know he's a puppet. They know it, and that's why they put him in there. If he should croak anytime soon, we still got to go down the line of. And there's another reason they keep this shut. It's not just because they don't want to swear people in. Listen, they're already lining up on what they can do without Congress and Senate. They are trying to demolish those two aspects of our country. They don't want that three-ring circus. They want a king. So it does not matter how long they're planning on shutting down, because they were already lining up. What they want to do is to get rid of those people.
All right. Regina says the irony is the East Wing is where the First Lady's office was. I also heard there is tea about JD's wife being miserable with him. Do you seriously believe 47 will be alive? I do not. JR Houston.
I also don't believe that JD Vance will be there either, because not enough people like him.
If we think that Trump is a puppet, JD is I have never seen such. I don't even have a word for how ignorant and the audacity of him to think that he is someone important because
No.
he is nothing but a pawn.
No, here's the thing, and it's not even arrogance. It's stupidity, right?
Yeah.
It's arrogance that leads to stupidity, because honestly, if JD Vance was a smart man, he would look around and be like, not one of these likes me. And if this guy goes, not one of them would support me. They would try to overthrow me. His chess game would be to get rid of that guy now. After everything he did in the last week, I'd be 25thing him like crazy. And going around to all these little people like a Pam Bondi and being like, okay, so you could go to jail, right? This man's not gonna live forever. You can go to jail, right? Let me protect you. Because here's the thing, JD Vance, I'm not one to really give advice to Republicans. I'm really not one to give advice to idiots. But JD Vance, I advise you to go study probably the most consequential, the most scary, downright scary shadow vice president this country ever had. And that is J. Edgar Hoover. Even though J. Edgar Hoover was over the FBI, but J. Edgar Hoover, the reason that J. Edgar Hoover had so much power just running the FBI, had so much power over presidents and the cabinets, is because J. Edgar Hoover knew where all the bodies were buried, and instead of exposing them, we'll go to people like, hey, I heard this and this. Let me protect you. I'll protect you. Only I can protect you from this. So if you do this, I'll protect you. I'll make sure this goes away. That is how he got all these people to fall in line. How do you think he was able to keep JFK from being totally destroyed by those Marilyn Monroe affairs? JFK and RFK, because at that time, in early 1960s, like late 1950s, early 1960s, would have destroyed them to know that the two brothers were tag teaming a Hollywood starlet. Okay?
All
Let's be
right.
very clear.
Okay.
So, JD.
J.R. Houston says sounds like Weekend at Bernie's.
Actually, no, it sounds more like Weekend at Bernie's. What's going on in Maine with New Hampshire with Bernard
All right.
Sanders.
So Dr. Tachi, laugh emoji to J.R. Houston Jazz. Regina says JD utterly immoral. He reminds me of Z-League in that Woody Allen movie. J.R. Houston Jack says to Dr. Tachi, I know you appreciate a good movie reference. And Dr. Tachi says back, yes. And Dr. Tachi to Regina, yes. And Regina says, Dr. Tachi or Nowhere Man in Yellow Submarine. But Nowhere Man was not just clueless. He was clueless, not cruel.
Yeah, these people are just more like cruel. But here's the thing too about the East Wing and him demolishing it. It's more than just it makes you wonder some other things. Who's the East Wing for and who worked there? The First Lady. It tells you more about how his marriage is falling apart too than anything
Don't you
else.
love those photo ops now? I mean, she looks so stiff when she has to kiss him. It's so staged.
But it tells you, but guess what? If they tore down the East Wing, which is where which was basically housed the First Lady's offices and all of her staff. So where does our First Lady work?
She doesn't.
Right. Where does so basically it tells you that he is in DC by himself. We basically have a president that's not really married. Could you imagine if Barack Obama and Michelle Obama had this kind of marriage? the stuff people as it is now try to make it seem like, oh my God, their marriage is falling apart. Every time you turn around, oh my God, they're about to get divorced. They're about to get divorced. Well, people have been trying to get them divorced for almost 20 years now, right? But nah. But everybody thinks it's just fine that Melania is out here going on vacation with her little boo thing. Like it's all good. And that's how presidents are supposed to be. But yeah.
Well, we'll move on to our next conversation piece, but we got two more. Regina says, that's what I meant by, quote, ironic, unquote. It shows she ain't part of the scene and she does not want to be part with him. But Regina, just make a note of this. You will start seeing more of her because her documentary that Amazon paid $40 million for is coming out in January. So you're going to start seeing more of her. She's got to
Aren't they
promote it.
suing her? Isn't somebody suing her over it though?
Yes,
Oh yeah,
Michael
Michael Wolff.
Michael
Oh,
Wolff.
you know how I feel about him. Yeah.
Right. Dr. Tachi says to Regina, exactly right. And Regina says, I remember when Obama added a few lines and hoops to a tennis court and Fox News went insane. So there you
But
go.
look, who did that to open it up for kids in the community? Donald Trump did this so he could tell Putin my room's bigger than yours.
So there you go. All right. So let's get to our next conversation piece. And here we go.
Panel Trump insists he can strike alleged drug traffickers without Congress declaring war.
I'm going to let LaLa start on this one.
Well, the sheer fact that this is propaganda is absolutely amazing. I need you guys to recall that the fishermen that he bombed in the middle of the ocean were just that, and people survived that, and they are still alive to tell the story. There was no proof whatsoever that they were harboring or doing any type of drugs. They were just simple fishermen. But what they have come out with those pictures is completely falsified, showing items in the water that are floating in the water like they're trying to show cocaine or whatever in the water. But it is very clear that it's AI. Once again, as I said before, this ties into what I said about how he overrides the other two elements of our system. He doesn't give a about what Congress says or the Senate says. He doesn't care about any GOP that even supports him, what they say, as long as they fall in line with him. The minute they disagree with him, they are out of the country club. The fact that this man is able to just say anything that he's going to do and actually does it is a very serious problem. And it should be one of every American should be concerned about. If he says he wants to start a war, he will start a war without Congress, without Senate, without nothing. But who has ever stopped him, might I add? Everything that he has said he's done it. He always tells you what he's going to do. So he's already told Congress directly, I'm going to start this war. And if you, and what y'all think, this is what we're going to do. This is a serious problem. And it's all because this man doesn't like the Venezuelan president, although he's, me personally, I think he's just as much as a kook. A lot of these people are. But the fact that he is going to just do things on the willy-nilly at his own advice in his head, his voices in his head, is extremely concerning. Now, what he's also doing in, with Argentina and all these things that are going on is also telling. He likes to partner up with people who are crazy just like him. So we have a serious problem in the fact that if he does these things to Venezuela, we're also not playing around with people like the cartel. You start really showing what you're going to do, even with, because those fishermen had nothing to do with the cartel, but that sent a message, and now they're like, oh, you're going to come over on our land. Let me tell you what we're going to do to your people who are already here visiting for vacation. This puts all Americans in danger, especially of those who move around abroad.
Well, I mean, I There's just two things on this that I have opinion of. First is go listen to those stories from the families of the men, the fishermen that were killed. I want us to remember that there's 74, I think it's 73 or 74 people that they've killed so far. It's not just like one or two, it's in the 70s, and they have not been able to prove that any of these people is trafficking drugs. And if they were trafficking drugs, particularly that last boat where there were 2 survivors, why would you let 2 drug traffickers go? And send them back
Exactly.
home?
That speaks volumes.
That
You
makes
don't let
absolutely
innocent
no
people go.
right. So we know that that's really, really bad, right? So there's that. And the other part for this for me is now you also know why Pete Hegseth wanted that kind of oath signed by people in the media to not talk about or to only put out specific information. Because if the media had their offices in the Pentagon and got this information and started talking about this, it would be a bigger story than it was. We're only getting kind of secondhand information because, or from what people can tell us based on their contacts or whistleblowers, because the press corps was kicked out the Pentagon. And I think we need to really pay attention here, because those people, the people that are these quote unquote alleged drug traffickers, aren't just, and when you think Venezuelans, where people are typically thinking brown Latinos, these are Black people. These are Black people that they are killing. Okay, so Black people want to know why should we? This is why these are Black people that they are killing in these waters. But also too, I sat there and I was listening to some of the stories and things, and I'm thinking, Pete Hegseth is playing Battleship.
He sure is.
This is a man who basically has taken the Pentagon and turned it into his man cave, and he's playing dress up in games. Like he's playing big boy versions of games that he was terrible at as a kid, but he's doing it with real human lives and real consequences. And we should really, really be concerned, because this man with no experience and a huge ego, okay, that is unchecked, he's not only getting people killed right now, we're looking at something that's going to be a mass casualty event.
Yes.
A mass casualty event. And remember that our military actions are what spawn reactions from other countries, to the point that they plan how to attack us from within. I'm not saying that 9/11 was something that we brought upon ourselves, but if you look at the history of the countries of why people in Saudi Arabia and the Middle East hate Americans, it's not, I'm not saying it's unwarranted, but it goes back decades and decades and decades of, there's history back there, right? There's history. And so he is adding to that history. And what I'm saying is, I'm not saying that it might happen. It's going to happen while Trump is above ground. Put it that way. Okay? But 10, 15 years from now, what if this is radicalizing people in Venezuela? Radicalizing people. What if the son of one of those fishermen that was killed becomes radicalized because of this action and is able to form a militia against America?
Yeah, I agree.
These are the things we have to think about. And that arrogant little pig who thinks that because he got a high secretary job that he is qualified for it. The only thing he's qualified for is the drunk tank. But he thinks he's qualified for it. He thinks he's doing something. And the only thing that he's doing is making Americans less safe.
What drives me nuts about him is he call himself calling in generals and our top of the people and talking about you must stay fit. My man can't even do a pull up. My
Wait, no,
man
no.
can't even
Somebody
do
said
one
when he was waiting for the applause afterwards, somebody said it gives the same energy of what's his name after Coming to America, Sexual Chocolate, and nobody clapped.
Yes! Oh my God, that was so funny and it's so true.
And then
So
he just-
true.
All right, let me just interject here. So
that was that part. Sexual Chocolate. Oh, I'll just go because he
So J.R. Houston Jack says, I keep asking myself what else needs to happen to get all those who are complicit to do their job and hold him accountable. Dr. Tachi says, to back the real threat of prison time. Regina says the Epstein tapes, that is what they are equivalent to the White House tapes that cooked the Nixon administration. Joe says the press corps abandoned the Pentagon rather than comply with Hagee's loyalty oath. J.R. Houston Jack says meritocracy at work. Regina says Hegseth posted a video where he was flying a flyer jet when he was really just a passenger. And J.R. Houston Jack laugh emojis. Dr. Tachi goes, Randy Watson.
Yes.
And Regina goes, my uncle was a Marine general who ran Quantico. When I saw the Heggie meeting, I remembered my uncle. He would have despised Heggie.
Well, I mean, here's the other thing too, is it's like, I bet you that man does a better keg stand than he does pull up. Because you're talking about fit and all this other stuff. It's like, well, you know what, dude? Tell us about.
He's because I don't know why. You tell him general.
No, tell us about fit and being in shape when you tell your boss to walk on a treadmill and stop eating all them damn hamburgers. Fit. You're gonna talk about the generals being fit. How about the whatchamacallit in chief?
None of them. Absolutely none of them.
Because guess what? If he was fit, he wouldn't need all these damn pictures of him with pecs. Trump's body has never been fit, even when he was thinner. Okay. And what's so bad is that it's not like it's like, dude, you made so much crypto money. It's not like you can't buy that stuff right now. You know what? Actually, if you want that body, you can have it. Leave the presidency. Find a doctor willing to operate on an 80-year-old man and get all that plastic surgery and leave us the fuck alone. I'm all for that. I support that.
Pay for it.
Get the body you want at 80. I am all for that, but leave us alone. Look, maybe that's the petition that he needs. You know what, dude? You will look so much better. I think we should support him going under the knife and getting the body that he wants.
2 more comments, and we got fit. Dr. John says fit, not when King Midas has a prescription for Big Macs. And and military. Regina says military full warriors are more common than you think, and they are detested by real soldiers.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
People don't understand there is a military code. And a lot of the thing is military don't speak it out loud all the time. They fall in line. They know what they need to do. And we have to also understand that there was a top military general who actually said to people, like, you're sending us to Seattle. Our job is for the Constitution. We will be protecting the protesters. No one talked about that. That got buried really deep in the news stories, and Trump was furious about it. Top military. Okay, you're going to send us. Our job is to protect the people and the Constitution. So therefore, we'll be protecting the protesters.
Yeah. Oh, I know he's too old for plastic surgery. That's the hope. Look, the risks. The risks are much higher.
She's too old for plastic surgery. All right.
The risks are very high. That's the hope.
All right, let's go for our last conversation piece. Maine Democratic Senate candidate Graham Platner apologizes for past social media posts.
Aisha, that
Okay.
was you.
You can apologize for the social media post. It's not the social media post. It's the Nazi tattoo, sir. It's the
I
Nazi
mean,
tattoo.
all the way. They just really go, oh,
But here's my biggest problem. Okay, first of all, I need to be very clear. This is for Democrats. He's a primary candidate. Okay, this is not the election. Okay, he's running in a Democratic primary for the Democrats to find a candidate to unseat Susan Collins. Stop acting like it's him or Susan Collins or we lose the seat. Okay, because the primary hasn't even happened. There are a ton more different candidates to choose from in that primary. And you're thinking, well, he's the one that can get more people that are over on the right. Let me tell you something. Okay. Welcome to New England. There are 6 New England states. They are Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island. I happen to come from Connecticut, the most diverse of the 6 New England states. You know what state is not the most diverse? You know it's the least diverse New England state. That is Maine. Maine is the Republicanist of the New England states. Okay? So to expect there to be someone who's going to be just a pure blue person, it's not going to happen, babe. Not going to happen. So your best thought, you don't need somebody with a Nazi tattoo to represent the Democrats. If you're going to get a Democrat, get a Democrat. And here's my other thing. Please stop listening to Bernard Sanders. Because if Bernard Sanders was giving advice on Democrats on how to be Democrats, he'd be a freaking Democrat. Bernard Sanders, let me remind you, is an independent. He can't even run as a Democrat in his own state. Because if he was that ballsy, he'd be about that life and be a Democrat in his state of New Hampshire, but he's not. He only borrows the Democratic platform when he needs the infrastructure and the money and the support to run for president. Okay? And I'm going to tell you something. This is how I know this about Maine. When I was in college, I went to school predominantly white in the city of New Haven, which is predominantly minority, but it's also in Connecticut. And I met this girl that was from Maine. She didn't realize that there would be this many Black people around in the city. But I was one of like 20 some odd Black students in a campus, about 2,000 or so. She's a very Republican, but I remember how she was, but I also remember things that she told me about people from Maine. This guy is no different. Because the bottom line, he knew about this possibly being an issue a few months ago. CNN just reported that.
Oh.
In 2019, he knew that this could possibly, that there were issues. So bottom line, he's apologizing now. But the thing about the tattoo, he's had several different stories. He's lied. But here is my thing. If you are a white Democrat and you are sitting here and you are saying to Black people and brown people that you are blue, even if he has a Nazi tattoo, baby, you are not someone I want on my team. You are the problem, and you are why Black women do not trust you. That's it.
All right, some comments here. Regina says exactly. If the tattoo was a mistake, why did he still have it?
Oh, let me also say this before you go on to the next comment. Thank you, Regina. Thank you for saying that. That's the other thing too. I want to be very clear, because as a person who has 3 tattoos, and I know other people who have ink, you don't get that tattoo by accident. Tattoo artists also know all of the white supremacist tattoos because a lot of them will not do it.
That's right.
Or they will tell people, you know what this is before you do it, right? That's the same thing with anything that's written in another language. They always find those things out and tell people.
Yes.
Because see, a tattoo theoretically is permanent. And here's the other part. He got it removed Thursday. But he knew he had it when he signed up to run. And see, that's my other part. So you're right, Regina. Why does he still have it?
Exactly.
And to say, well, I was drunk. Well, you know what? I've never met a Black person or another person of color who, when they were drunk, became out and out racist. I was drunk when I got my first tattoo as well. And you know what? I still was not able to be convinced by that boyfriend to get his name on my body. As drunk as I was.
Got some awareness.
All right. So Regina says, yep, find another candidate.
Yeah.
Dr. Tachi says, precisely. Dr. Tachi, not his full government name, Bernard. And then says, Regina says, my friend taught at a college in Maine. When I visited her, it was a super scary white world. And J.R. Houston Jack says, that part. I think on that, sticking with a fork, we're done. Ladies, thank you so much for another epic conversation. I want to say, as always, thank you for taking the most important thing, your time to hang out with us today. And before we let you exit, how do we get in contact with you? First off, it's key.
Well, I make it pretty easy for you. I'm all at one site. It's laurakey.net. But I also wanted to mention that I have put the grief workbook in our Discord group, as well as the list of the people who contributed toward the ballroom. So please make sure that you do go to our Discord and continue our conversation there and download that guide.
LaLa, thank you so much.
I know that's why I was like so quiet for a second, because I was looking at it.
There you go. Really Next good. Up, it's Aisha K. Staggers time.
I'm going to put all of mine under one link soon. You can find me at AK Staggers on Instagram. On Medium, Aisha K. Staggers. Sky, akstaggers.bsky.social. Friendo Media, I need to write a new article for them soon, but it's friendomedia.com, and my Substack is Aisha K. Staggers, or This Thing Called Life.
Love it. Thank you so much. All right. And if you want to get a hold of me, LaLa led the charge, so I follow her. One link, taplink.cc/The Dr. Vibe Show. That's where you can find me. And then if you want, you can catch replays of this epic conversation on the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and on my website, the drvibeshow.com. So we have a few more final comments. J.R. Houston Jack says, amazing conversation. Well, you helped make it an amazing conversation. J.R. Houston Jack also has clap emojis. And Regina says, this is a great place for a weekly vent. I love it. All right. So let's finish it off here. As always, we like to say it this way. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get smaller, get stronger, block assumptions, aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Don't just manage your time, manage your energy. Remember to give yourself grace. And if you're not making money, make history, but try to do both and make it better. God bless. Peace be well. Keep the faith and walk good.
To understand how afraid I am of any member of the rodent family, that's down to squirrels and chipmunks. Okay, I cannot stand all members of the rodent family. Rabbits, bunnies, no. What else is going on that day? I mean, is there something we're supposed to be doing?
Why are you going there? Why are you going there? You know I'm going to ask you. It falls the same day as the inauguration of the new president.
The what? Excuse me? I'm sorry?
So in other words, Monday.
So onesies. Now, folks, don't ever think you're going to see us all on a show with onesies on. Don't do that.
You might see me. You might see me.
You'll see me and you'll see me and LaLa because we oftentimes wear ours.